Okay, we are live. It is 11:25, 9/8/2023, and I got my disclaimer up here. We're going to go over recapping the week and true crime events and other shit. So, if you have, some sort of a sensitivity to true crime and violent crimes, please be advised. So, let me play my intro, and I will be right back. Okay, so we are back. Um, I am in between raindrops here. We just got pounded here by a couple of good storm systems that moved through, but right now it's not raining, so that's good news. So let's go. I think what we're going to do first is go to the Murdaugh shit. So let's Alex Murdaugh is back in the news, and his attorneys are crying foul because of some misdoings by the clerk of court, I think, and he's asking for a retrial.
It was a trial.
So, I mean, according to the defense, they have a pretty good case, in my opinion, but that's according to the defense. Of course, Alex Murdaugh was convicted of unaliving his wife and his son a few months back. I think this guy's a royal piece of crap. But everybody's entitled to a fair trial and yada, 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 yada. But let's go ahead and take a look at this here. And now the attorneys are obviously bickering over the tampering claims. But like I said, in my opinion, I think he's going to get a new trial, but I don't think it's going to change the result any at all. I think he's still going to be guilty, but all right, let's take a look.
Like no one had ever seen in South Carolina. A prominent lawyer from a prominent family in the Low Country accused of...
Hey, Jenks, how are you? Good to see you, kiddo. I hope everything's well.
The ultimate betrayal, the execution-style murders of his own family. Alec Murdaugh became a household name, the most infamous attorney in the nation. The trial was filled with dramatic testimony, dramatic evidence, and of course, a dramatic verdict. Murdaugh became a convicted double murderer. But now, the drama is back in the Low.
You're too funny. You are too funny. Jinx. You're tired. That's okay. If you fall asleep, that's okay. At least I'm good for something. I hope Thomas and Meow are okay. Have you heard from any of those two? Or I'm kind of tired tonight too. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the rain, but I'll be up all night. So this is my time. This is between now and about 5 o'clock in the morning. This is when I am alive.
Country. This time, it's the jury and the court clerk. Allegations from the defense that Becky Hill, the court clerk, tampered with this jury. And now the jury is lawyering up.
It sucks because this judge did such a great job in this case. I mean, I always questioned why it only took 45 minutes to get a verdict. I don't even think it took that long. But anytime you have a quick verdict like that, it tells me that there's, the jury was already convinced before a lot of the evidence got.
And we have the lawyers on the show tonight who will be representing some of the 12 who found Alec Murdaugh guilty. What are they saying about these allegations against?
Yeah, Thomas is a great guy. Thomas is, he's a star. He broke out onto the scene over the winter, I think, late fall, I think, and he's already got 2,000 subscribers or so. He's good at what he does for sure, and he's a good kid. Very, very good kid. So aren't you?
It's the clerk. Tonight, we find out as we investigate the jury drama in the Murdaugh family murder trial.
Like I told him, though, I stay out of the drama. It's hard to, but I just stay out of it. I don't like certain people either. Oh, you're so awesome, Jinx. If Thomas comes in, I'll have him come up again.
I'm Benny Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. I can't believe where we are in this case. We're back in the Low Country.
I'm going to be going back to Flora soon. Just trying to get some more content going behind the scenes here. I'll be doing the Connecticut River Valley Killer again later this morning, and getting back to Flora, I think, next week. But we'll see.
Tonight.
I adore you too. You're awesome, Jinx. You're an awesome person.
Let me start here. I mean, courtrooms and trials are just unpredictable. And you know that.
That Rick Snay guy, though, I'll tell you, that Rick Snay. I'm just kidding. I like Rick. Poor Rick Snay.
You've been watching for years. I've been covering this stuff for years. I've been a prosecutor inside the courtroom. They're just unpredictable. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. And then that's why we have trials, because you don't know what people are going to say. You don't know how people are going to react. You don't know who's going to cry, who's going to lie. All of that plays.
Thank you, Jinx. I'm just, got nothing better to do with my time. I'd be out driving around at this hour, but I don't feel like doing that. So I come on here and, yeah, poor Snay. Rick's a good guy. I've been following Rick for a while. But you should start doing lives too, Jinx. You'd have 3,000 followers tomorrow if you started your own thing. Just because of your accent. It's awesome.
Out in real time inside courtrooms. And that's part of the draw of why people are so captivated by what happens inside as we seek and try to get to the truth. But at the end of the day, it's unpredictable what's going to happen inside that courtroom. Now, sometimes it's
I'm going to say something that's Southern here. This guy's guilty as all get out, but I think he got gypped of a fair trial. I just do, but I don't think it's going to change the outcome, but I think he's going to get he's going to get another trial for sure.
Surprising verdict. Like, we were pretty shocked at this moment, right? I think he was too at the moment. If you look closely at his face when that jury said not guilty, I think O.J. Simpson was shocked then too. Surprising verdict.
Hey, Four Pit, how are you? You're a good guy too, Four Pits. I have no problem with you guys. I don't have problems with anybody. I try to stay in my lane, you know, as much as I can. And like I said, opinions are everywhere. I have no problem with opinions. I just don't. I have no problem with opinions on what people want to think about certain crimes, certain aspects. That's what get cases solved, as far as I'm concerned. At least gets pressure put on, law enforcement to do the right thing. I just hate when people go at it. It's whatever.
Verdicts. That's something that you expect from time to time, right? It's kind of like par for the course. It's not like, oh my goodness, it was a surprising verdict.
Just like AASB. I have no problem with AASB. I just don't. He's got his own opinion. Everybody's got their own opinion. And, when people attack him, I attack them, because just because he has a different opinion doesn't make him wrong. It's just his opinion. And I just, I try to support everybody too, especially when people attack people for having opinions and their opinions are whacked too. It's like, but no, ASB is cool. I don't mind him.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of surprising verdicts. There are. It just happens that way. Then we had a case, and this was another.
Yeah, I tell you, I have a lot of respect for Rafi, what he did to Greeno when he was up there with. I forget who he was up there with. I think it was Grazzarino, the creep, and he freaking let Greeno have it. I fucking love it. It was awesome.
Example of how things are just unpredictable in the courtroom. Ezra McCandless on trial for murder in the middle of this love triangle. She's accused of murdering one man because she wanted this other man. And somehow she thought murdering him would help her get the man who broke up with her back, proving her love to him. This is 10,000% unpredictable. Never seen it before. The court clerk? I've seen other people accused of talking to members of the jury. Sometimes it's an inexperienced reporter. Sometimes it's someone who's just walked in the elevator with a juror or something.
I mean, all we can do is technically sit back and give opinions, right? That's all we can really do. We don't really have. Jinx, you're too funny. That's fucked up. That's awesome. I mean, if I don't like a creator, I just won't watch the guy or the girl. I've stopped watching a lot of people because I just don't agree with them. But I'm not going to sit there and attack them. I'm just not going to do that.
But this is completely different. We've never seen this before. It has been a wild week in the Low Country. Take a look.
The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, guilty, verdict, guilty, guilty.
This person here had a book deal, right? She had a book deal ready to get published, and she was trying to hurry this case along so she could get her advance on the book deal. So she wanted this case wrapped up. That's obvious.
Guilty, guilty.
The clerk of court had improper private communications with the jurors, and the subject matter of those communications was the credibility of the defense.
I mean, I also understand that not everybody can get along. That's just, kids don't even get along at a daycare. I mean, but I don't get involved in it.
That the Murdaugh legal defense team put up, and it was a believability of the defendant's own testimony.
Well, the clerk of court does a big job of being a liaison between the judge, the lawyers, the public, the documents that are in a trial. In a case of this magnitude, there's a lot of documents. There's a lot of paper. There was a lot of people that had come together from all over the world. We had people coming from France, England, California, Wyoming, and so many other places, just to be able to open our doors and have everything together for the trial that we were going to have. Just a normal, any other day kind of trial was huge. There's a lot of documents. There's a
Look at this chick. She's just living in her own fantasy world, as far as I'm concerned.
lot of paper. There was a lot of people that had come together from all over the world. We had people coming from France, England, California, Wyoming, and so many other places, just to be able to open our doors.
Oops. Sorry. Where the hell was I?
And it was my honor.
Here.
Do you believe, you're representing jurors now, do you believe all the jurors will have the same testimony if they were subpoenaed or had to appear inside the courtroom to talk about any interaction or any observations of the court clerk, Becky Hill? Do you think all the jurors will be in the same boat and say, yeah?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? Oh, shit, you're working? That sucks. Oh, that's horrible. Thomas Frost is in the house. Well, obviously you can't come up if you're working, buddy. Good to see you, though, man. Wow, I got 7 people in the chat. That's freaking amazing.
X, Y, and Z happened?
No.
Welcome, everybody. How you feeling, buddy?
I can't reveal attorney-client privilege. I represent 2 jurors, but I am pretty sure that what you're going to hear from some of the jurors, if not most of the jurors, except the ones that Joe is representing.
I've never heard of a clerk of court talking with a jury ever in my life.
It is directly the opposite of what Dick Harpootlian said from the microphone on Tuesday. You know, Vinny, no matter how many times you say something or how loud you say something, doesn't make it true if it's not true. And the fact that there are 1 or 2 jurors that say Ms. Hill said some things before Alex testified or allegedly made some comments about the defense attorneys is troubling. No question, it should be investigated. We can never have a situation where anybody other than the judge gives instructions to the jury. But don't be fooled here. You know, these are jurors that sat for 7 weeks and listened to the evidence.
Did they really listen to the evidence? It took them 45 minutes, not even that, to come up with a verdict. I mean, how do you go over all the evidence in a case in a jury room and deliberate for 45 minutes? I actually think it was closer to like a half an hour. They let them sit around for another 15 minutes. So I don't know how much testimony they actually really listened to.
If an innocuous statement was made or some kind of offhanded comment, I am certain that 12 jurors would not have given somebody a conviction of murder and ultimately a life sentence simply because of one thing that was said when they heard evidence for 7 weeks and they saw people testify. But again, this is very serious. And Harpootlian is going after the king, and you better kill the king when you go after him, because if not, Becky Hill's going to have the best defamation case I have ever seen against him.
Who is this guy?
Harpootlian.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, Vinny, it's so nice to be back with you. What I would say about this is that I'm fascinated at the playground that is full of the troll patrol people talking badly about so many subjects. And frankly, Eric, I'm glad you got a couple of these jurors because our responsibility is to protect the process, not the result.
This is like the best comment ever. Thank you, Jinx.
As lawyers, whether you agree with the guilty verdict or not, the question before us now, before the court, the fact
This guy looks like Flash Gordon like 20, 30 years ago.
fascination that is creating the need for us to be on television. It's about what happened. Becky Hill is a person who did a wonderful job as clerk of court throughout the trial in handling the press and handling the scads of people that showed up. And now we've got to find out if something else happened. And I think it's incumbent on the lawyer to not be concerned about protecting the verdict. It's about the process.
So where are we? Where are we right now? If we've got jurors who see or hear things.
I'll tell you one thing. The prosecution doesn't care about the verdict. The defense doesn't care about the verdict. They just want the verdict to go their way. They really give a shit whether it's fair or not.
Things differently, and we've got some level of a split.
Yeah, I agree. 4 pits. I definitely think this guy's guilty, but
Inside this jury room, Joe, what does that mean?
Well, I'm not happy to be in the position I am representing 2 jurors. I was asked by the jurors originally to keep the press away from them. Things happened. I can't go into those things, but their decision to give information under oath.
you think this trial's fucked up? Wait till they have a trial in Delphi. If that goes to, that's going to be a shit show. My God.
Now is a part of a record that will have to be evaluated.
Let me ask you about that, Joe. And I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, your clients, they are the ones who signed these affidavits. Is it their sworn statement, or is it the sworn statement of someone they spoke to?
To my knowledge, 2 of the sworn statements by jurors are the jurors that I represent. I wouldn't reveal their name.
I mean, I literally have no faith in Slick Nick whatsoever. So just so if that goes to trial, man, oh my God.
Their juror numbers, I think, are a part of that record. The exhibits attached to the affidavits, and I think God knows the names and the connection to.
I mean, this guy literally lied about being at the crime scene, and they had him on video, right? I mean, that's pretty guilty.
The jury numbers is about the worst kept secret in the country right now. But they came forward reluctantly. They provided their truth. And now that becomes a part of a record that must be evaluated by the court. I mean, it's the troll patrol that's out there feverishly protecting a verdict.
I definitely agree, Jinx. Definitely agree.
Cannot be joined by lawyers. It's not our job, Eric. Our job is to protect the process. And we can only do that now by examining all of the jurors, perhaps. And let me say a word about jurors
That would be fucking hilarious if Ron Logan walked into the courtroom.
lawyering up. One thing I know after 47 years of practicing criminal defense, part of that as a prosecutor, but now as most of the time as a criminal defense lawyer, police officers behave differently when witnesses
He's alive. That'd be fucking hysterical.
have a lawyer. So I think the advice that they have a lawyer is good advice. I think it gives them a protection and it gives them a comfort level so that they feel free to tell the truth. That's what matters now.
Is there a sense, though, by the way this was all presented on Tuesday, that
I mean, that would be so typical of Delphi if Ron Logan walked into the courtroom. My God, that'd be just, people would just fall down.
some jurors might believe like they're in trouble? Like, you're in trouble, you need a lawyer?
I mean, he's not going to because he's pretty dead, but, you know, who knows in Delphi, man.
Well, they shouldn't believe that, and maybe some of them are watching tonight. That was not, I don't think that was the purpose of Mr. Harpootlian's message, but I didn't write the script. I didn't talk to him about what he was going to say. I don't believe any member of this jury panel, at least so far as I know, is in some kind of jeopardy unless they do not tell the truth when they are asked to do so.
So here's the other part of this, Eric, right? Is that if this is happening, and I get it's different because it's the clerk and it's a different relationship than someone else speaking to a juror.
You're so awesome, Jinx. You're just so awesome. To have a Camp Ron Logan sign.
I'm surprised that it wasn't brought up earlier because that is something you would
Correct.
bring up to the judge, right? Wouldn't you at some point?
Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with Joe. I fundamentally disagree with
No, really?
Joe. We can't have a system where jurors make a decision, render a verdict, are individually polled, swore to uphold the law, in open court say that they gave a free and just verdict without coercion or duress, and then 3 months later, whether they decide they're going to change their mind or they have a
I had my first troll in here the other night. That was freaking awesome. We adore you too, Jinx, for sure.
decision remorse, or they're manipulated a little bit by the defense attorneys when they're confronted. I worry about a system.
Like I drive all night and I watch some of these, creators and shit. And then I hear Jinx talking and I'm like, yes, it's Jinx. Woo! Get up there, Jinx.
If we can open up the can after every major jury verdict, if one or two jurors decide to create a disturbance that has been created here, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
This guy right here is not normal. You can tell he's just not. He's a smart guy though, very smart, but he's just not. There's something wrong with him for sure.
But if 10 jurors say it didn't happen and 2 say it does, I think a judge is going to have to ultimately rule in favor of the prosecution. But I am worried about a system where jurors can change their minds 3 months after they are polled and said it was a free
You need
verdict.
to spend more time in our criminal system because it happens. Jurors
Doesn't
are
make it
not
right.
free from interference. Oh, no.
Where the hell did I go? Right here. Okay. Yeah, it was funny. He was in here for like 2 minutes and then I got rid of him quickly. Agreed.
Oh, absolutely. And interference never does. The question, again, is process. It's not your protection of the verdict, Eric. It is about the court now, whatever court and however the Court of Appeals determines to handle this. It's about questioning jurors. Now, let me go back to this question of why wouldn't somebody have said something during the process? Well, I can tell you why. If you've ever been stopped by a highway patrolman for whatever, you don't want to say too much because you don't know what you're going to say that's going to get you in trouble. So the very point that Vinny was asking about, are jurors in trouble? Not necessarily. I don't believe that's necessarily the case. I think that they are natural.
If they went and tried to get 12 jurors in any jury trial, and there was a stipulation where you couldn't smoke anything through the trial, especially like a 4-week trial, you'd never get anybody to do the jury ever.
Being a part of a
I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't make it.
6-week trial.
No smoke breaks, really? Are you kidding me? No, that's not happening.
Seeing a judge who is the authority figure, I don't think they were going to be answering unless they were asked about things. I think
It's like living in a prison. Like I can't have a smoke break, really? For 4 fucking weeks? That's not happening.
we'll have to see what other jurors say. We'll have to see if
Let me ask you this.
if anything happens.
Is it a problem if in this jury room at the end of the trial, they all kind of talk to each other and say, we're not going to say anything about it? Is that a problem? Like if they said, listen, we're not, if you want to go to the Today Show or whatever, we're not going to talk about what we did. Is that a problem if a jury decides that?
Well, I think the judges in our criminal cases always tell the jury, as our judge in this case did. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, now that you've reached a verdict, now that the sentencing has occurred, you have the choice to.
I don't know if they've confirmed the clerk said that to the jury. I think it's alleged at this point, but they do have affidavits. I don't know what that means, if those are true or not, but I wouldn't doubt it, Yeah, I couldn't make it. I can't make it 10, 20 minutes without a cigarette. It's especially with coffee. Like if I have my coffee and I don't have a cigarette, what's the sense of drinking the freaking coffee? It's
speak or not speak. Now, that choice now is a little bit different because there is this taint on the possibility of a trial that was not fair. But under normal circumstances, jurors can decline to answer, or they can go to New York on an airplane paid for by NBC and give an interview. Again, not the issue. It's questioning the process and ensuring everybody deserves a fair trial, even the worst among us. These jurors didn't come forward necessarily because
if I don't have my cigarettes and coffee when I get up, it's going to be a really bad day. It's going to be probably the worst day of my life. First thing I'll probably get is a headache, and then
trying to exhaust.
Like nothing I touch will go right. I tried smoking cigarettes once for like 2 weeks. I got into like 3 accidents. This is awful.
Honorate a guilty person. It's about the process.
All right, Joe McCullough, Eric Bland staying with us. We're going to talk more about this, talk more about the court clerk as well. Plus, coming up next.
If I didn't have cigarettes, I'd have to get a gun and carry one with me all the time.
Next hour.
In Washington County, Utah, YouTube star and momfluencer Ruby
All right,
Frankie in
get out
court.
of here. Whoops. And we're going to go to this dumbass floating around in Pennsylvania here. I can't believe they haven't caught this guy yet. This is amazing. But if anybody hasn't heard about this, inmate basically escaped from a prison. Actually, he was in a jail. He was waiting to go to prison. And now they can't find him. And he's in southeastern Pennsylvania, basically in a cornfield, and they can't find him. So, and this guy's 5 foot tall. He looks like basically the Keebler elf. I don't know. This is like the 3rd escapee in Pennsylvania in the last 6 months. So obviously there's a problem. So this is their report here. I mean, I went to jail years ago when I was my drinking days, and I just don't understand how people get out of prison. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but if you watched how this guy got out of prison, like, who would have ever thought somebody could do that, right? But it was a camera on the guy, so obviously nobody was watching the camera, right? It's like, holy shit. And these guys have no clue, it's That's what I'm talking about. You know, it's like, uh, who's manning the cameras, right? Like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if you ever go to a jail and see a jail or a prison, uh, there's literally no way out of there. Once you're in lockdown, once it's done, you got guards coming by every 5 minutes. You got cameras, security. It's all electronic now. It's not like it was years ago where you guys got people out there with sledgehammers bashing rocks in. It's all it's all pretty much monitored. I think all of these prisoners. This guy was just found guilty, and he was awaiting transfer to a prison. He should have been wearing an ankle bracelet, in my opinion, for sure. I mean, but that's armchair quarterbacking. But I think things will change, hopefully. I was just watching this guy, the sheriff, last month about the other inmate in Western Pennsylvania, and they caught him, I think, within 3 days, 3 or 4 days, I think. He climbed out of jail tying bed sheets together. I mean, I can't believe that stuff still happens. I just can't. Okay, Captain Obvious, thanks. Yeah, we all know he's dangerous. I will say one thing. Pennsylvania is a really big freaking state. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever driven through Pennsylvania, but it takes forever to get through Pennsylvania. And there is so many different uh, types of terrain out there. I can see if he's in the woods, he could be, they may never find this guy. But if he gets to Delaware, he's a goner. Yeah, I think the guy, he tied some bed sheets together and climbed himself down and just got out. I forget his name now. I covered him I think it was last month. Early, it was definitely late July, early August. Forget his name. It was in Western Pennsylvania though, right around Pittsburgh. Hey, Deja Vu, how are you? All right, let's get back to this moron. Okay, so let's go to this. This is Look at this place. This is Longwood Gardens. Right? This is a pretty nice place, man. I'm pretty sure he's not in one of those greenhouses, but it's a cement pond. I mean, this guy could be anywhere in here. He could be hiding in here. He's only 5 feet tall, so he's, you know, look at the tree fort. This is a big place. He could be anywhere in here, behind one of these, you know, flowers. You never know. All right. What are we gonna do now? We're gonna go here. So this was done 7 hours ago. I know that they, I know they had him last night, or this afternoon. I think it was either this afternoon or last night. They basically let him escape. So, yep, that's the one.
Breaking right now, Chopper 6 is live over Chester County, where the search for escape.
Yeah, this was a few hours ago. I've been following this
Prisoner Danilo
for like 3 days now.
Cavalcante has intensified in just the last several minutes. You're looking live as law enforcement has long guns trained on a specific area right now. Authorities focused on this area in the northwest corner of Longwood Gardens. This is the same area as a reported sighting of the escaped inmate yesterday. It is Friday afternoon. I'm Sarah Bloomquist.
And I'm Brian Taft. The big story on Action News today is those breaking developments right now in that search in Chester County, as if officers are focusing on that one specific spot. Let's get right out to the scene. Action News reporter Maggie Kent live in Kennett Square. A very active situation right now. Maggie?
Brian and Sarah, we are as close as we could possibly get to the situation right now, as there are officers, as you mentioned, with long guns, heavy SWAT, out here trained on a specific area near the northwest corner of Longwood Gardens. Gardens is the last known credible sighting of convicted killer Danilo Cavalcante, who escaped.
I just hope this guy resists arrest. Like, I just, you know, just please just don't go quietly, right?
From prison. This is now the 8th day of searching for him, and everything here feels as though they may be close. As we speak to state police, they say they believe he is still within their perimeter, and right now they are checking this location with all eyes trained on the area of Doe Run Road and Conservancy Road here in Kennett Square.
We have got somewhere north of 350.
So he's here. So he's in here, right? He started up in here, I think. And here's the Pennsylvania-Delaware border here. So that's what I think he's trying to do. He's trying to methodically get himself down in here somewhere. Once he's in Delaware, you know, all he's got to do is get to the seacoast here and board a ship and get out. You know, it's they better get him before he gets into Delaware. That's all I can say. because he's part of a gang, I think. So they may be helping him out. Who knows? Where was I? Right here.
Maybe close to 400 people working on this today.
The 9th day in the search for convicted killer Danilo Cavalcante, and we're getting
400 people searching for this guy.
an inside look at the headquarters in the operation to capture this escaped prisoner.
I know how stressful this is for the community. You want to know that there is a strong effort to capture him.
Working 12-hour shifts, state troopers, customs and border agents, and FBI agents are manning the phones, taking in tips and dispatching law enforcement accordingly. They're watching live camera feeds and taking in a stream of the helicopter's aerial view.
This is Route 1 or Baltimore Pike down here. Longwood Gardens up in here.
A giant map of the latest perimeter is projected onto the wall to show exactly where trooper vehicles are stationed to dispatch accordingly.
In this area, we've got tactical teams operating right now, mounted, canines, aviation.
Searching a field near Baltimore Pike and Lenape Road on foot and mounted patrol this morning, the goal is to keep pressure on Cavalcante, who has experience hiding in the jungle of Brazil, evading capture in his home country in 2017.
After the crime that he committed down there, he did something very similar to this in the jungle down there. So it's not surprising to me that he's able to last out there for a little while.
We are as close as we can possibly get to the activity.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, if he can get to Philadelphia, they'll never find him in Philadelphia. I mean, this guy's pretty clever. I mean, he literally did a Spider-Man thing out of freaking prison. It's just like, and you can hide anywhere in this area. You just can.
Here on the ground right now without impeding any of this 8-day-long investigation. Again, bulletproof vests.
They're not even checking any of these cars going through too. Like, I thought that was kind of strange the other day. These cars, neighbors are just passing through, driving through. They're not even checking cars, trunks, nothing.
Here, men with long guns, mounted police officers using technology, aerial views. They are trying their best to track down this convicted killer and bring him once again to justice. As I mentioned, there's a lot of activity here right now, but we have seen this before. There's been oftentimes where they're following up on a tip.
I've been watching some of these, streams, and some of these whack jobs on the chat are actually rooting for this guy. This guy just killed this woman with kids. Like, how could somebody be cheering that, man?
And everyone rushes to one area. But when speaking to Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens, he also is clear to say
Unbelievable.
He knows that they're going to be following up on tips, but never.
Are you from Pennsylvania? Deja vu? Pennsylvania's a big state, man.
Never do they leave this perimeter.
And they're always doing construction on the highways there. And if you're going to get gas in Pennsylvania, do it before you get to Amish country, because you will run out of gas. Trust me.
Of the search area unmanned, which means there are still state troopers all around this 8 to 10 mile search area to ensure if Cavalcante is not here, he's not breaking that perimeter either.
Is Frosty still here?
We're live in Kennett Square. Maggie Kent, Channel 6, Action News. Sarah.
Yeah, Maggie, and you'll be there on the ground. Our chopper's up in the air monitoring things, so we'll come back to you as things develop if anything does happen this afternoon.
Yeah, I'll be here to tell you that nothing happened this afternoon. So, all right, we're out of here. I do want to go to this person here. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this case, but this is the accused suitcase killer here. Are those Steeler colors? Whoops. Okay, so if you haven't heard about this woman here, she's been accused of basically suffocating her boyfriend in a suitcase while they were both getting hammered. And this this is a pretty strange case because she keeps firing her attorneys, state appointed attorneys. She's on her 7th attorney, literally. So she literally put her boyfriend in a suitcase and
The Boone case?
whoops, let him stay in there all night, and he ended up unaliving in the suitcase. And the latest lawyer she had wasn't apparently responding to her at all, so she's been granted another attorney, if you could just imagine.
State of Florida versus Sarah Boone, 2020 CF 2603. State.
Dave Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Frank Bankovitz. Please raise your right hand.
You've quickly become a very good friend of mine, if those are Steeler colors. I don't really have a lot of faith in them this year, but they are my team. I love my team and I hate my team at the same time, but I'm definitely a Steeler fan. Always have been. Been a long life being a Steeler fan.
And do you solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Can I have JAC announce themselves as well?
Yes, Audrey Moore for.
And I don't know, like I like Coach Kev. Coach Kev is great. But how can he live in Western Pennsylvania and not be a Steeler fan? Like, how is that possible?
JAC.
All right. So we have multiple matters scheduled this morning, one of which is Mr. Bankwitz's motion to withdraw. My reading of the law is I feel like I have to address that motion first and rule on that before I can address any other motions that would be heard today. So
the good news about my team is they got their running game finally starting to go last year. Like they spent so much money on their offensive line. They've gotten Harris, and the first few years he's been with us, it's been a flop, literally. But last year, at the end of the year, I think they finally started to get their running game going. So, but I mean, they got a lot of competition this year, so I'm assuming that they're going to be 4th.
Mr. Bankwitz, I'll start with you. Tell me why you're moving to withdraw.
Judge, the letters that have been coming to your honor, the derogatory berating of my services in this
Listen to this. This is just insane.
case, I can't effectively represent her. She doesn't trust me. She calls me a dud, I think, a buffoon.
Wasn't that what's her face, your business that beat up her lawyer in court? Does anybody remember that? I think that was your business. She literally kicked the lawyer's ass right in court in front of the camera.
On and on and on and on. And no one should have to endure that type of derogatory
Yeah, Watts just got to stay healthy. That's all.
comments and expect to effectively represent someone, especially in a murder case.
Ms. Boone, I read your letter dated August 26, 2023, and your letter dated August 30th, 2023. And just so we're clear, I read all of the letters that you send to the court. Whether I respond or not is based on what's in the letter.
Do we play the Jets this year? Because if we play the Jets this year, that would be really awesome to see TJ Watt take out Aaron Rodgers. I'd pay to see that.
And whether I'm asked to actually do something that's within my purview as a judge or not. If I understand correctly, you have now decided that you think it would be best, in fact, if Mr. Bankwitz
welcome to the AFC, bitch.
was allowed to withdraw. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you understand by him withdrawing, I have to appoint another attorney. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And that attorney's not standing here, so we're not going to be able to address, and I'll give the state a chance to talk to me as well. But assuming I grant this, we won't be able to address the other issues that were docketed for today, which means I'm going to have to reset your case for a later date. Do you understand that?
I'm not sure what items it is you're speaking of. I haven't received a copy yet of the letter.
So we're having a hearing today in regards to authorization for payment for an expert that.
So she literally put this guy, coaxed him into going into a suitcase. It was part of a game, I think. And they are all basically shit-faced. And she left him in there all night. And she taunted the guy for like an hour. Oh my good Lord. You can't make this stuff up, man.
That your attorney believes he needs to defend you in the issue about the compensation of that expert, which is why JAC is participating today. I don't know.
Seventh attorney, not one, not two. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't even know if they have enough attorneys for this woman.
Know if your next lawyer is going to think that that expert's the right person to use, or whether they're going to go a different route after consulting with you. And even if they did, they're not standing here.
Jinx, do you have a favorite football team?
And once Mr. Bankwitz is out, he's out. He can't argue the motion. So do you understand that?
I fully understand.
All right. Mr. Cacciatore, normally the state takes no position in these issues, but there are limited circumstances when the state doesn't take a position. So are you taking a position on this motion withdrawal, Mr. Cacciatore?
No, this would be one of those times where we would be not taking a position.
All right. So I'm going to grant Mr. Bankwitz's motion to withdraw. I'm going to appoint, let me find my list, Attorney Winston Hobson to represent Ms. Boone. In regards to the other matters scheduled today, I'm going to take no action on them at this time until Mr. Hobson can, well, in regards to the motion involving JAC, I'm simply going to take no action.
You live in Pittsburgh? Oh, they're not playing the Jets. Well, maybe they'll get them in the playoffs. You live in Pittsburgh? That's freaking awesome. That's like a bucket list thing, is to go to Pittsburgh and watch a game. Me and my son have been planning to do that for the last 20 years or so. We went as close as Canton, Ohio, a few years back to watch the Hall of Fame game. But and the funny thing about it is there were more Pittsburgh Steelers fans there than anybody else, and they weren't even playing. But yeah, I'd love to go to Pitt, watch a game.
Action on that motion at this point in time until Mr. Hobson has a chance to review it and determine whether he wants to proceed with that motion. I will address the pretrial because today was also supposed to be pretrial. Here's what we'll do. Let me just get my calendar up.
So she got another attorney, and now they're going to do pretrial stuff. This case has been going on they're not even at the trial yet. So this will take forever.
As far as pretrial conference, I'm going to set this case for pretrial conference on Tuesday, November 28th, and a trial period starting Monday, December 11th. I think any earlier period of time would be unrealistic for Mr. Hobson to get on board, get up to speed with the discovery, and determine how he wants to proceed in regards to any experts. But I will set a status hearing on the case prior to that.
Oh, that's so cool. That was at Three Rivers, right, though? That was the older stadium? I'm in New England, so I get stuck with all the Patriots fans here, which is annoying. But they have, over towards the Seacoast, there's so many Steeler fans here in the state, though. They rent out a whole old theater in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and they watch the games over there, hundreds of them. But I don't know. I'd rather watch the football games here. I've broken a lot of TVs, lamps, phones, everything watching Steeler games. I've done it all. If it can be thrown, I've thrown it. Takes that long to look at a calendar. Can you imagine that?
The case Monday, October 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
So that'll be the pre-trial.
That'll be for the purpose of making sure that Mr. Hobson's on board, some sense of where he thinks things are, how realistic he thinks the November pretrial is, any other matters I need to address with him at that time. Now, Ms. Boone, in just a minute, they're going to take you back to the Orange County Jail. I'm going to suggest
Well, at least they're second on the list. I was just happy to get rid of Tom Brady out of this conference, man. I was glad he went to the NFC for a little while to rain havoc over there for a few years.
you talk to Mr. Hobson about the various other issues you raised in your letter dated August 30th, 2023. One other thing I want to talk to you about, we had this conversation once in the past. Clearly, your working relationship with Mr. Bankwitz was such that it deteriorated to the point where the two of y'all just couldn't work together to defend your case. So I'm not going to.
So apparently this lawyer wasn't answering any of her phone calls. She tried getting in touch with him for months and months and months, and he was busy working other cases. So she decided to put a motion in to get this guy removed. So, I mean, he just wouldn't communicate with her, period.
Try to referee how that played out, why that unfolded the way it did. But one thing I want to caution you about, if this becomes a problem on another court-appointed attorney, I'm going to look more closely.
Yes. Yes, she's claiming a bit. Basically what she's doing is she's claiming that this was a more like a domestic type thing, and she was obliterated at the time, and she didn't know that he was going to die in the suitcase and stuff. So she has a pretty good case, I think, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's weird.
Closely at what the alleged disputes are. You have a right to a court-appointed lawyer. There are certain decisions a defendant gets to make in the defense of their case that are absolutely theirs, such as whether they go to trial or not, such as whether they testify or not. But there are many decisions in a case that a lawyer gets to make. And while you certainly have a right to consult with your lawyer and discuss with your lawyer, they don't automatically just do whatever you say. They use their professional judgment and experience and look at the evidence, look at the law, and do the best they can. Also, you've got court-appointed counsel. As I've explained to you before, court-appointed counsel rarely have the luxury of representing one person and only having one case to focus on. I have concerns that your expectations of what any court-appointed counsel might do as far as spending time with you and the depth and degree of communication.
Yeah, I watched that whole, like probably 1,000 times. I think there's actually something wrong with her. Not sure. I don't have any expertise in that area whatsoever, but I think she has some sort of an issue going on up in here. But I don't know. Like, I'm not a professional at that, but I mean, She could have been hammered out of her mind and just went to sleep. I don't know, but that's still, I don't know if that's an excuse either. Really.
May be unrealistic expectations. You always have the right to retain a lawyer to represent you, and then that's between you and that lawyer. You can demand whatever expectations that you have as part of that agreement. But when it's a court-appointed lawyer, you have to accept and understand that they have other cases, other courtrooms, other responsibilities. And I'm cognizant of that when I'm addressing these types of issues about communication. So that's just food for thought. Nothing to do today. I don't need a response.
I think it's just second-degree manslaughter. I don't think it's a murder. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a murder trial. Yeah. But I don't know if it's murder or manslaughter. Dud and a buffoon. Yeah, this relationship between her and her sixth attorney didn't go well.
Response from you. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that and were thinking about that as we proceeded forward. So again, the court minutes reflect that I'm court continuing pretrial.
No, I think this is these are all court-appointed attorneys. I don't think she can afford any of them. That's what I mean. This is her seventh attorney now. So she's obviously playing the system here.
I have granted the motion to withdraw. I have appointed Mr. Hobson to represent the defendant, and I'm taking no action on the motion, the ex parte motion for cost directed.
Is Jinx still here with us, or is she sleeping?
Where JAC is responding.
All right. So I'm going to play one more thing, and then I'll get out of here. Program note, I'll be coming on later tonight, early this morning, to do episode 2 on the Connecticut River Valley Killer. But I do want to play this because this came out 49 minutes ago. And this is the latest on the escapee guy. So, I mean, I remember I was online last time when they got the guy. So I was just about to get off the live and they caught him like 2 minutes before. So, not saying they caught him. I'm just saying, so let's, where the hell am I? So this came out 49 minutes ago. This is the latest on this escapee guy.
An intense search for an escaped convict continues into the night in Chester County. There is a large police presence in the area of Longwood Gardens as authorities.
So apparently last night they had this guy, pretty good, sighting of him, and they chased him into the woods and lost him. That's what I was told. So I think they have him in this area, the Longwood Gardens area. They just can't find him.
Police hope to find Danilo Cavalcante. It is Friday night. Shari is off. I'm Gray Hall. The big story on Action News is the efforts to find the inmate who escaped from a Chester County prison 9 days ago. And today we learned that
if they get him tonight, I'll come back on. Sure.
Tower guard who failed to spot Danilo Cavalcante as he climbed out of an exercise yard has been fired. Action News reporter Andy McCormick has the very latest from the search area in East Marlboro Township.
Hundreds of law enforcement have flooded this area from the air to the ground and to the command post. It's the largest law enforcement presence that we've seen to date since that fugitive escaped 9 days ago.
Law enforcement standing guard through the night, stationed across the area with long guns. This is one of several convoys that navigated its way through Longwood Gardens tonight. State police are confident Danilo Cavalcante is here in this perimeter. According to eyewitness accounts, Cavalcante was last spotted in the area around noon on Thursday. And
thank you, Deja Vu. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, I'm going to play this and then get out of here. But if they do catch this guy tonight, I'll come back on for sure.
Footage from a private trail camera placed him there Wednesday night. Cavalcante's bold and impressive escape came shortly after his sentencing for stabbing his ex-girlfriend to death in 2021.
So he was arrested. He did that in 2021, and his trial just got over this year, and he's been awaiting to go to, I mean, that's what I got from this, that he was awaiting to go to his prison term, and that's when he escaped, just before he went. So in my opinion, these guys should be at least on an ankle monitor, just in case something like this happens, but who knows?
Prior to that, he
that'll
was
ever
wanted
happen.
for murder in his native Brazil and eluded capture.
After the crime that he committed down there, he did something very similar to this in the jungle down there. So it's not surprising to me that he's able to last out there.
Thank you so much, Deja Vu. I appreciate
Inside
it.
the State Police Command Post, law enforcement from multiple jurisdictions are working 12-hour shifts.
It allows us to visually see where we've got people placed.
I'll try to get better streams.
Latest perimeter is outlined on this map and shows exactly where trooper vehicles are stationed, so multiple dispatchers know as tip calls continue to come in.
In this area, we've got tactical teams operating right now, mounted, canines, aviation.
Tens of thousands of people are expected here this weekend for the Mushroom Festival. We're told that it's still going on, but they will have additional security. But authorities say expect to see this increase.
The mushroom hunters will find them, no doubt. They usually do.
Presence throughout the weekend or until he's caught. And also a reminder that there's a $20,000 reward for
Wow.
information that leads to the fugitive's capture.
All right, so that's that. Like I said, I'll be coming on probably around 3 or 4 o'clock to do another episode of the Connecticut River Valley Killer. And then next week, I'm going to get back into Flora, I think. I'm just working on some more content for that. So I appreciate everybody coming in. Thomas, Deja Vu, 4 Pit Bulls, of course, Jinx. Jinx is awesome. Deja Vu's awesome. 4 Pits is awesome. Everybody's awesome that came in. Frosty, of course. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. And anybody else who was listening, I'll play my intro, I guess, and get the hell out of here. I hope everybody has a great weekend. It's going to be pretty shitty here, all rainy, but it's the weekend. So, all right. So I'll see everybody later. Thank you.